next. Let's get reaction to the president's speech to Congress and head to David Schuster, who's at the politics desk in Washington. The polls looked good for the president.
Yeah, contested. The president addressed supporters and critics during his speech last night, and he had a message for those who didn't vote for the stimulus package. Watch.
I know there are some in this chamber and watching at home who are skeptical of whether this plan will work. And I understand that skepticism. Here in Washington, we've all seen how quickly good intentions can turn into broken promises and wasteful spending.
Bernard Whitman is a Democratic strategist and former pollster to Bill Clinton. Nancy Pfotenhauer is a Republican strategist and former senior policy advisor for the McCain campaign. Nancy, let's start with you. First of all, what did you make of the president's speech last night?
Well, I think he gave us a strong performance. I think you saw a lot of assurance and confidence. I'm glad that he took Bill Clinton's advice, and if in fact that's what he was doing when he made it clear that he believed that a more prosperous time awaits us, that this country can get through these difficult times. It's very, very important because the role expectations plays in this economy is agreed upon by economists of all stripes, and so it's very important that that strong, positive message gets through. So I thought he gave a good speech, and he tends to.
Bernard, the CBS poll tracking Obama's handling the economic crisis before and after the speech. Before it was 63% approved, after it was 80%. What do you make of it?
David, it's refreshing to finally have a president who can walk and chew gum at the same time. Americans need and deserve exactly this kind of bold new leadership, which is why 91% of people that heard the speech last night approve of the president's plan. 88% say it'll move the country in the right direction. 85% were more optimistic as a result of seeing the speech. And 80% believe it will be successful in improving this economy and creating jobs. My hope, David, is that the Republicans will finally join with the president to tackle our nation's problems. You know, 4 in 5 Americans want the Republicans to cooperate, but the problem is that the only agenda the Republicans seem to have to date is to just say no. And if that's their strategy going forward, I'll tell you, they're going to have an awfully long, cold winter in opposition.
Nancy?
Well, I just have to disagree with that. I mean, reaching out and listening is good. Civility is good, and I think President Obama has made some of the right steps. But, you know, it's not the same. Patting somebody on the head and just doing what you were going to do to begin with isn't the same as moving forward in a genuine manner where you intellectually engage and you actually work together to craft a solution. And we have times in the past where our nation has faced great challenges where that's occurred. I mean, you can look at things like welfare reform that passed with as many Republican votes as Democratic votes. But when the pen was handed over to Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, President Obama essentially scripted that final vote. And so it's not enough to have the window dressing of bipartisanship. You have to genuinely work together to come up and listen to everyone's good ideas and include those in the final package in order to get bipartisanship.
I want to play for both of you Bobby Jindal last night. This was part of the Republican response. Watch.
A way to lead is not to raise taxes, not to just put more money and power in the hands of Washington politicians. The way to lead is by empowering you, the American people. That's why Republicans put forward plans to create jobs by lowering income tax rates for working families, cutting taxes for small businesses.
Bernard, what did you make of Bobby Jindal last night?
I thought Bobby Jindal's response was a disaster, both for him personally and for the Republican Party. I mean, to start off going back to congratulating the country for electing the first African-American president when he laid out a bold, ambitious agenda, just was really narrow. And I tell you where Obama did so well last night is he started to explain to the American people that everything is connected. Energy, education, health care, the economy, and we understand as Americans that we have got to pull together and make the tough decisions, and we will be stronger for it. And we finally have a president who can look into the American public's eyes and say, we have got to make these tough choices and we'll be better for it. And that type of leadership has been sorely lacking in the last 8 years. And if Bobby Jindal is the future of the Republican Party, I'd say that the Democrats are going to be in power for quite some time.
Nancy, 20 seconds on Jindal. How did he do?
I think he had a tough job. I've been watching these things for 22 years, and I can't remember anybody of either party having to do the follow-up and do it in any way that got, an A or a B even. It's a tough act to follow. I question the decision on his people's parts to have him play that role, because it's just a thankless job. But I want to disagree with my fellow guest here, if I may, and say it was absolutely the right thing to do to call it like it is and say spending $1.1 trillion, and that's what it was, with interest. To have Congress go crazy spending taxpayer money at a time like this, it's Bush on steroids. And so what are you going to add to that? Tax increases? How is that somehow going to make this country's economy improve when it hasn't done it in any of the other countries where it's been tried, like Germany or France, where they have lower standards of living and stagnated economic growth?
Nancy Fodenauer, a Republican strategist, and Bernard Whitman, a Democratic strategist. I think I'll agree with both of you. I don't think Bobby Jindal did himself any favors last night. In any case, thank you both for coming on. We appreciate it.